If you've ever seen a Studio Ghibli movie, you know that magic is found everywhere. You know that each twist of the plot, each charming and human character feel inspired and beautiful. But it's more than that. The magic also dwells in the minutiae. Subtle Ghibli wonder is woven through the fabric of each film. Small details and human impulses, familiar landscapes, a single shot can hold so much inspiration. Today, I want to tell you about my single favorite shot in a Ghibli movie. It's not from a film you might expect, not from one of Miyazaki's fantasy juggernauts, not even from my all-time favorite movie, which happens to be Spirited Away. It's actually from my second favorite Ghibli film, 1995's Whisper of the Heart. Written by Miyazaki, this coming-of-age drama was Yoshifumi Kondo's directorial debut and unfortunately the only film he directed before his death in 1998. The movie actually originated this iconic image, although that's not the one we're here to talk about. Here's your warning. For this video, I'll be spoiling the first half of Whisper of the Heart, as talking about the shot in question actually requires some context, and I'd like to explore the film's themes as a whole. But only the first half, and trust me, there's so much more going on in the back end for you to experience yourself. Whisper of the Heart follows Shizuku Tsukishima, a bright and independent middle schooler with a passion for words and writing. At the outset of the film, we find her in, honestly, an adorable rom-com setup. See, Shizuku spends her summer engrossed in books, checking out title after title of mostly fairy tales and fantasy from her local library. But here's the twist. Each time she checks out a book, she finds the same name printed right above hers on the checkout card, Seiji Amasawa. To a teenage girl with a voracious appetite for books and a slight penchant for romance, this immediately captures her imagination. Some boy out there has already read every book she picks up, and Shizuku can't help but wonder what he's like. Of course, when Shizuku crosses paths with a handsome boy her own age, a stranger with an uncanny ability to tease her and get under her skin, well, we as the audience are savvy enough to know that her mystery boy, that Seiji Amasawa from the checkout cards, is probably this guy. But of course, Shizuku is in total denial even after she starts putting the clues together, and that denial comes naturally to her. Shizuku is a dreamer, prone to fantasy and escapism. Her peers and elders are quick to tease her for always having her nose in a fairy tale. Shizuku longs for romance, adventure, magic, and complains often about living in the ugly concrete city. She comes across as perpetually distracted, lightly neglecting her responsibilities, and while she's eager to talk about love, the boys in her class don't catch her interest. All this comes in contrast with what we see of Shizuku's life. Like, granted, this is my biased perspective as an American. We're not exactly known for beautiful urban environments, but to my eye, Shizuku's surroundings are gorgeous. Quaint homes, diverse little neighborhoods, plants and trees, a robust public transit system. As the viewer, we are treated to a minutes-long sequence where Shizuku follows a stray cat. We see breathtaking city skylines, watch her wind through labyrinthine pedestrian paths surrounded by trees and greenery. To Shizuku, none of this is impressive or noteworthy. She's just interested in the cat, curiosity fully alight as she follows its confident trek through the city. For once, Shizuku gets what she was looking for. That stray cat she was chasing leads her to a small antique shop. Shizuku marvels at the wonders inside, including an ornate cuckoo clock and this mysterious statue of an anthropomorphic cat. When the shopkeeper introduces the statue by its name, the Baron, it sparks her imagination. Shizuku calls the shop a place where stories are born. This is the dichotomy in Shizuku's perception of the world. She's interested in stories, art, and the great impossible unknown. Fantasy makes life worth living. But reality, in all its familiar hardship and disappointment, leaves her constantly dejected. And unfortunately, this strict separation between fantasy and reality eventually crumbles before Shizuku's eyes. The crumbling comes in the form of teenage relationship drama. It's a fraught love triangle situation, but the details are simple enough. Shizuku's best friend has a crush on a boy in their class. Shizuku is genuinely excited and supportive of her friend, until, as it turns out, the classmate in question has feelings not for the best friend, but for Shizuku herself. One thing I love about this movie, I jokingly downplay this as teen drama, but this situation would really genuinely suck, and the film depicts it with real gravity. It's clear Shizuku is really hurt, not just by the guilt, discomfort, and disappointment of the situation, But the realization that the world of romance she's finally grown into is nothing like she hoped. It's a low point for our dear protagonist, but she hasn't lost all hope. Though humiliated and depressed, Shizuku makes her way back to that antique shop, seeking out the wonder and fantasy it inspired in her before. It's closed, but before she can be too disappointed, here comes definitely not Seiji Yamasawa, who's actually polite with her for once. Finally introducing himself as the shopkeeper's grandson, he invites Shizuku inside through the back residential entrance, opens a gate, and... okay, here it is, my favorite shot in a Ghibli film. This moment is a turning point. In the following scene, Shizuku learns more about her mystery boy, and the way they connect will alter the course of her life. Shizuku will soon see the world through new eyes, and that chance is preceded by this long panning shot of the city skyline. Whisper of the Heart has, up until this point, been meticulously detailed in its depiction of suburban Tokyo. From an audience perspective, these gorgeous backgrounds and environments are a real treat. But here is where Shizuku herself, for the first time, really stops and looks at the city. The shot lingers first on the skyline, a sight which would be quite familiar to Shizuku, but probably never quite like this. Almost like looking out of a skyscraper, the view is clear and unobstructed. Compositionally, the framing of the walls to either side only make the view appear taller, as though it's dwelling directly within the sky. As the shot pans down, we're reminded of our present, more intimate urban environment. Look at the ivy, the cute roof shingles, the slight wearing on the walls. I can't think of a better word than cottagecore. We also see the more local neighborhoods bridging the gap between the vastness of the world and the intimacy of the local community. A car winds around this curve, far away but surprisingly close. It adds movement and depth to the environment. Leave it to Studio Ghibli to make a car and a paved road look breathtaking in context. And then, finally, Shizuku's gaze settles on Seiji, right in the foreground, looking kind and welcoming and confident before he rounds the corner into the next scene. Before Shizuku follows, she says one line. And let's also note the way this landscape is split in two by this overhang in the foreground. If you enjoy movies but don't know the first thing about analyzing cinema, here's a very simple visual analysis tip to put in your back pocket. Pay attention to big bars dividing the frame. Usually it's pillars or window frames in the foreground that separate two characters. Even if you don't register it consciously, shots like this give a powerful sense of division between subjects on screen. Here, I see this horizontal divider more as a transitional tool. When our gaze falls past this obstruction, it's like we've crossed over from one space to the next. Literally, we are moving from the first half of the movie in all its nebulous adolescent yearning into the second half of the film, which is more personal and focused. And from there, the movie continues. I won't spoil the rest, you have to watch it for yourself to see how Shizuku comes of age and finds excitement and satisfaction in the real world. It's a wonderful film, and if you've never seen it, I hope you can enjoy it. But one final observation relevant to the rest of the movie: pay attention to the way Shizuku's concept of love and longing shifts, and how that shift is reflected in the way she sees the Baron. As she learns more about that strange anthropomorphic cat, we can see Shizuku take in a world that's more complicated and sad and wondrous than she'd ever realized. Anyway, in addition to being beautiful, this shot reflects everything I love about Whisper of the Heart. I respect a film that's brave enough to totally shift gears in the second half, to break the rules of storytelling just a bit and divide itself cleanly in two. The first half lighthearted and sweet, the second half more solemn and intense. The first half a question, the second half an answer. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you like hearing my voice, check out my other videos. I analyze a lot of anime that you don't even have to watch. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.